afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, March 16th, and you know what that means. It is time for the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Pierce, and joining me, a rock concert. Don't forget to check out the socials. Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. The website is live, and today's show, when you look at the schedule, there's an asterisk. It says subject to change, and today's show is changing. Today is Do It Without Flair. We are in Women's History Month. We are in Wrestlemania season, and just by judging by the title, you know what I'm talking about. It is about Charlotte Flair and the detriment she has been to the main event women's scene in Wrestlemania. We're going to dive into that, but for now, you know what's next, so just go on and hit my music. So the list for today is simple. These are 5 women who need to avoid Charlotte. Listen, Charlotte might have the golden shovel, but these women would be better off not interacting with her for a little bit. So number 5, Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is right there on the cusp of something special. She is a former tag team champion. She's a former world champion. She is popular enough where the fans are behind her. I can't see Liv going heel again. I can see her being a tweener, but she is right there on the verge of something special. And the easiest way to stop that would be to have her interact with Charlotte Flair. We've seen Charlotte hold people back, and it's hard to get from under that shadow. Liv doesn't need that. Number 4, Roxanne Perez. Now I'm 50-50 on this, because as much as I know that Charlotte Flair is a fantastic talent in the ring, and Roxanne Perez was called the prodigy for a reason, would interacting with Charlotte really help her? The matches would be fantastic, but someone as young as Roxanne doesn't need to take a loss to someone as big as Charlotte right now. No. Roxanne needs to be elevated and be put into that position like Serena Deeb, like Mickie James, like Gail Kim, where, oh, you're wrestling Roxanne Perez, this match is going to be fire, and Roxanne can take a loss and not be hurt by it. Number 3, Zoe Stark. We have to capitalize on the momentum of Zoe sending Trish away. We haven't capitalized on that. We haven't capitalized on Zoe sending Trish away. We haven't capitalized on Zoe's interaction with Ronda. Zoe has major talent. She has a major it factor, and she was one of the earlier people who I was like, yeah, she should be called up from NXT immediately. She can do that. I know the matches would be really good, but I need Zoe to be established just a little bit more. Number 2, Nia Jax. Nia and Charlotte already have history, and it's history that ended with Nia coming out on the better end of it. Since Nia's return, she has been made to be a dominant monster. She has been just amazing. She has never looked better than she does right now. The easy way, just like I said about Liv, just like I said about Roxanne, is to have her interact with Charlotte, having Charlotte get that win back. Nia doesn't need that. They need to be kept separate from each other. And number 1, Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is going to be a star. Her star is growing. She is getting chants. She is getting cheers. She is growing in popularity. And the easiest way to stop all of that is simple. A loss to Charlotte Flair. We know Charlotte's coming back. We know she's inevitably going to be pushed into a title match. She's going to get some wins along the way, and it might be an inevitability that she's going to go over Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany doesn't need that. It needs to be Tiffany time, and we can do that without Flair. We'll be right back. The spotlight is shining, and it's shining brightly on one Mercedes Mone. The CEO has finally arrived in AEW. Big business, that's what we talking about. And I felt it very apropos that since we're talking about Charlotte Flair today, well, next week's show, it's going to be about Mercedes. She is going to be an amazing talent, an amazing get for AEW. It's not her job to elevate the division, because the division has been elevated already. If you look at the roster of women in AEW, it's really, really good. And when you add someone who has not only the in-ring acumen like Mercedes Mone, but the social following, the celebrity, you can't help but get better and feel good about it. Her first feud is going to be very, very important. Who she interacts with is going to be very, very important. This is the time for Tony Khan to really quiet the naysayers and say, hey, I understand what you're saying about what I've been doing with the women's roster. I can be better. I can do better. And we've started seeing it on Collision. Need to see it more on Rampage, which you at one point was the go-to place for women's wrestling in AEW, and we have to see it more and more and more on Dynamite. The women have rarely, if ever, had 2 matches on Dynamite. That's got to change. I think that will change with the addition of Mercedes Mone. What will the CEO do? Who will she interact with? When will she go back to New Japan? Because there's going to be something special happening with her in New Japan. What's going to happen at Forbidden Door? These are so many good questions, and the spotlight shining on Mercedes Mone. Couldn't think of a better person. We'll be right back. Okay, folks, you've heard me time and again talk about my discomfort, my overall dislike of Charlotte Flair. I am going to do my best, my very best, to take out my personal feelings and my personal bias out of this conversation. Today's top story is do it without Flair. And by that, I mean her spotlight at WrestleMania has been used at the detriment of others. WrestleMania, the showcase of the Immortals, the granddaddy of them all, should be a spotlight for everybody. I understand you have to make your money matches. I understand that at one point you had just a nutcase in charge, but you can do better. There are times where, yes, Charlotte Flair should have won, and I acknowledge that. But there are many, many, many more times where Charlotte should not have won. And that's where we're going to talk about how her winning has hurt other people. But I want to first start with the importance of Charlotte Flair. When it comes to big money matches, when it comes to putting on top matches with top talent where the match can be just top notch, you're not going to get you're really not going to get any better than Charlotte Flair. That's a fact. So that helps why she's been in a lot of top matches. Her in-ring skill is second to none, with the exception of her moonsault, which is just really, really bad. She should stop doing it. She's that damn good in the ring. Now, yes, I think there are other women who are better than her in the ring, but when it comes to the WWE, the only woman that can truly match her actual skill, Becky, Rhea, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi, Io, Roxanne. That's it. And mind you, the WWE roster is quite large. So Charlotte Flair is needed for these big money matches, for this big fight feel. I am still very much shocked that Becky and Charlotte have not fought one-on-one at WrestleMania. They fought one-on-one many other times, but on the granddaddy of them all, it's not a matter of if, but when, because there aren't that many major money matches left to do in the WWE. Off the top of my head, we got Rhea, Becky, we have Rhea, Bianca, we have Bianca, Jade, we have Charlotte, Jade. It's pretty much all I can really think of at the moment. And Charlotte's going to be in those big money matches, so I understand the importance of having Charlotte Flair. She is needed, but to the detriment of her, and this I'm not blaming her for. She has never been featured in a story that does not feature a championship. Do you know how you get better as a competitor? How you grow as a character? When you have matches and feuds that aren't for a championship. When there's something else on the line besides gold, when you have something else to fight for besides gold, you grow. Prime example, Eddie Kingston. Now Charlotte is not nowhere near as good as a promo as Eddie. She's in the bottom half. But Eddie's stories are believable because he puts his heart and his soul and his just everything into this. I don't think Eddie Kingston knows wrestling isn't real. Yes, you can say Charlotte Flair is a product of nepotism. Nepotism works in all aspects of life. I hate it, but it works. It's about what you do with that nepotism. So, to the detriment of Charlotte, she has not been able to grow as a character, because we all know every time she's out, whether it's a personal break or injury, when she comes back, she's immediately put into a championship match and usually given the title. So let's talk about what went wrong. All right. So we get to WrestleMania 32. Stephanie McMahon has just revealed the new WWE Women's Championship. The Divas Championship is gone. 3 of the 4 horsewomen have been up on the main roster. We have Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha fighting for the vacant WWE Women's Championship. Makes sense to have these 3 women in here. Bayley was still down in NXT, but it makes sense to have these 3 women in here because they are going to be the cornerstones of your division. Charlotte Flair won the match. That I don't have any issue with at all. In fact, it was one of, if not the best match on the card for WrestleMania 32. The only other match that was even onto the level of that was the Intercontinental title ladder match. So Charlotte versus Becky and Sasha was absolutely fantastic. It works. So yes, you can have Charlotte be the cornerstone of that division to help build that championship up. We speak time and again about, does the man make the championship or does the championship make the man? It's a two-way street. Charlotte Flair is known for having gold, so when she gets gold, it feels important. But putting a championship, a world championship on someone like Charlotte also makes the championship feel important, makes the person feel important. So, Sasha, Becky, Charlotte. Amazing. But then came the after, because for the longest of times, Becky and Sasha always played second fiddle to Charlotte. And I never understood it, especially when it came to Sasha Banks. So Charlotte is the champion. That's all well and good. Finally, Bayley is called up. And we have Hugger Bayley, one of the most white meat, blue blood baby faces you can have. So, we get to WrestleMania 33. People don't remember this, but Bayley was going into the match as champion. Bayley was the Raw Women's Champion. We finally got a SmackDown Women's Championship, which was defended later that night, with Naomi returning and defeating Alexa Bliss, Becky, Carmella, Mickey, and Natalya. So we have this fatal 4-way elimination match, right? Bayley is our champion. I remember we had the Ballad of Bayley a couple weeks ago. Now, it felt a little weird that Nia was in this match and not Becky. The Four Horsemen haven't had a main event match where they all face each other. It's never happened. And Becky was a part of the SmackDown roster. But Bayley goes into this match as champion. Bayley, Charlotte, and Sasha eliminate Nia. That was always going to happen. It was always going to come down to the three of the Four Horsewomen. Charlotte eliminates Sasha, and then Bayley eliminates Charlotte. Good match. Did the right person win? Yeah. You couldn't lose that momentum of Bayley. So we have this match. We have back-to-back years where Charlotte is featured in a title match. We then get to WrestleMania 34, and this is where the tide truly turned. So, what happened at WrestleMania 34, you say? Well, that same year, we had the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. I was there. I was in Philadelphia. Asuka won the Royal Rumble. Not only did Asuka win the Royal Rumble, Asuka was on this amazing undefeated streak. We don't get those that often. Asuka was undefeatable. Period. Asuka is an important figure in the history of the WWE right now. She has done everything. And she wins the Royal Rumble, right? She chooses to face Charlotte Flair. That I don't have an issue with at all. I don't. It was inevitable. It was inevitable. Charlotte was the champion. And we started coming up with LOL Charlotte wins. And this was one of those moments of LOL Charlotte wins. Not only did Charlotte defeat the first ever Women's Royal Rumble winner, they had Asuka shake Charlotte's hand. And Charlotte ended Asuka's undefeated streak, which was like 3 years. This did not need to happen. Now, I'll take the loss. The question then becomes, can Asuka get the win back? So if I look at all of the times, not including house shows, but all of the times that Asuka and Charlotte faced each other one-on-one, how many times do you think Charlotte has won? The final tally comes to Charlotte 6, Asuka 4, with one of Charlotte wins being by DQ. So let's go 5-4. So it's actually kind of even, but it's when Charlotte has defeated Asuka. Having Charlotte defeat the first ever Women's Royal Rumble winner just didn't seem right. I can kind of understand ending Asuka's streak if Asuka got the win back, but guess what? It was a long time until Asuka got that win back. So now we have 3 straight WrestleManias with Charlotte in the title match. Then it got worse. WrestleMania 35, the first ever women's main event. The story for the longest time was Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey. Charlotte was tangential to the story. Becky won the Royal Rumble, right? Ronda was on a roll. Becky got hurt. We know the history. We know all of that. So, if the story is Becky versus Ronda, why was Charlotte added to the match? Let's backtrack slightly. A few weeks prior, randomly, Charlotte defeated Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So Vince wanted a winner-take-all match, whatever. That didn't need to happen. Why? Because the year prior, Charlotte had defeated Asuka. And we have had WrestleMania rematches before. The Rock and Stone Cold had an amazing trilogy. Even though Stone Cold went up 2-1, the story was The Rock had to beat Stone Cold one time at WrestleMania. So if the story is Becky, Ronda, which, mind you, ladies and gentlemen, Ronda's no longer in WWE. We never got Becky versus Ronda in a one-on-one match. Because once again, to the detriment of others, to satiate whose ever ego, Charlotte Flair was added to the match. So Charlotte Flair gets added to this match. It is unnecessary. Not only that, you could have spaced out the women. So WrestleMania 35 was the last WrestleMania to feature one night. We had 2 women's matches on that show. We had the Iconics winning the women's tag team titles, defeating the Boston Hug Connection, right? And then we had the women's main event. But you know what you could have done? You could have had Asuka get her win back against Charlotte in the same way. Charlotte was the defending champion. Asuka could have been the defending champion. Asuka wins. Charlotte shakes her hand. Simple. And the match, the main event, wasn't even given a lot of time. It went 20 minutes. But There were other matches where, time could have been cut. Seth Brock, that was fine. AJ Randy, 16 minutes, probably could have gone 12. SmackDown Tag Title Fatal 4-Way. I'm fine with that. Shane Miz didn't need to go 15 minutes. The Women's Tag Team Title match, fine with that time. Kofi defeating Daniel Bryan, great. Joe destroying Ray, great. Roman Drew, first of all, who even remembers that match? Triple H and Batista did not need to go 25 minutes. They just didn't. So, much to the detriment, once again, of Asuka, Charlotte is put over and gets added to a history-making match. Charlotte did not need to be in that match, ladies and gentlemen. And then we get to WrestleMania 36. So that is now 5, including 36, 5 WrestleManias where Charlotte is in the world title match. So what happened in WrestleMania 36? Charlotte won the Royal Rumble, which was an inevitability. I'm fine with that. Everybody is going to win the Royal Rumble. It was not a matter of if, but when Charlotte wins the Royal Rumble. So we had the pandemic. This was the WrestleMania first time 2 nights. So who does Charlotte face? Who does she use her title shot against? Rhea Ripley, who was the reigning NXT Women's Champion. I wasn't upset or angry at Charlotte. Powers that be having Charlotte choose Rhea. That was cool. It was Charlotte defeating Rhea. And here's the thing. The match was fantastic. But Charlotte becoming the NXT Women's Champion did nothing for the NXT roster. And the complete opposite, when Becky Lynch recently won the NXT Women's Championship, she helped put that roster over. She put Tiffany Stratton over. She put Lyra Valkyria over. She elevated the Women's Championship, whereas Charlotte essentially buried most of that roster. Hell, Charlotte wasn't even pinned when she lost the championship. It was a triple threat match and Io won. Io pinned Rhea. So there's not even a video, there's not even a picture of Io pinning Charlotte. So once again, to the detriment of others, to the detriment of the brand, Charlotte Flair was put over again. Why? Rhea Ripley was on a roll. Crazy. Rhea Ripley was on a roll. And the momentum was just killed. Bianca Belair was firstly finding herself. Momentum killed. And they were all buried because somebody believed Charlotte Flair had to go over. WrestleMania 38. There's no 37. So this is Charlotte's 6th Women's Championship match. Charlotte defeated a returning Ronda Rousey. Oh, but wait. Ronda won the Royal Rumble, so Charlotte defeated 2 Royal Rumble winners. And you just knew Ronda was winning the championship. She was not going to come back to not win the championship. But she couldn't win it at WrestleMania after losing at WrestleMania. She couldn't win it at WrestleMania? What kind of sense did that make? Mind you, Ronda won the championship a month later in the I Quit match. She won it in an I Quit match, defeating Charlotte. Why not just have Ronda win it at Mania? What was the point of having Charlotte win. I don't get it. You understand? I don't get it. And yes, I thought either Bianca or Becky or Charlotte and Ronda should have made it, but it was Stone Cold. So we let that pass. Then we get to WrestleMania 39, and all is right with the world. Rhea Ripley wins the Royal Rumble. Mommy is on a roll. And you see what happens when people are separated from Charlotte. Becky became the man and just has amazing matches and amazing feuds. And then Rhea Ripley gets the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley wins the Royal Rumble. And there have been a few times in the Royal Rumble where they faked us out and made us think Charlotte was going to win. Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair put on a certified banger of a match. The fear was that Charlotte was going to win because LOL, Charlotte wins. Because Charlotte always wins. But Rhea Ripley would not be denied. Rhea Ripley will go on to defeat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania to become the SmackDown Women's title champion, which is now the Women's World Championship. And the rest is history. Rhea has been dominant. Rhea has been amazing. And I am sitting here telling you that once these women got away from Charlotte, they became better. And the worst part is, everyone's got to go through Charlotte. Charlotte versus Bianca is an inevitability. Jade versus Charlotte is an inevitability. Becky Charlotte one-on-one again is an inevitability. The question is, do we need to do it with Flair? You can have losses where you look good in defeats. Can that happen here? Remember this. Remember this. When Rhea defeated Charlotte, I had to go back and like, wait, how did Charlotte get the championship? Well, she randomly returned and defeated Ronda for the championship. Yep, that happened because Charlotte Flair always returns and gets a championship match, and it's probably going to happen again, much to the detriment of either Bayley or Io, and that's a fear of mine. The WWE has to start understanding that Charlotte needs something different. She needs growth as a character. She's got to be put into situations, into matches, into stories that can expand her. They need to do it before it's too late. What say you? That is our show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. The schedule for next week, we got a list. The best Womenmania matches since WrestleMania 20, Part 1. Got a Flashback Friday. We have Howard's Wrestling Podcast, episode 168. This is the Ballad of Mercedes Mone. Can't wait to talk about that. Don't forget, we got the Howard Wrestling Recap every single Sunday. We got Wrestling Reddit every Thursday. I got a couple more things in the works. Don't forget to check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube. Charismatic _creations 52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. And as always, Willow Nightingale, Gigi Dolan, Isla Dawn, Chris Statlander, Anna J, and Bailey. Holla at your boy. Peace.